Right, let's start. Getting started. My suggestion in building an amp kit has always been a dry run first, so before diving straight in and doing all of the stuff that looks interesting and exciting, do a few test assemblies to see how things go together. This will help avoid problems that you could have foreseen. Trust me, there's nothing worse than having to undo dozens of screws or desolder some components to add an item you overlooked. That said, in this build guide I will try to describe the most methodical way to build the amplifier so that hopefully you can avoid any such problems. The image down here shows a fully annotated chassis with all hardware installed in position. You can follow this directly or you can use extra tips in the rest of this page. Right. A few items become hard to access once other components are installed, so do these first. Start with the M4 ground lug shown circled here in red. Make sure to bend the ground lug so that the soldering hole will be accessible later. In each case, use an M4 screw from the outside of the chassis, then the ground lug inside chassis, and then the shake-proof washer, and then the M4 nut to secure it. Okay, so let's do that. I put all the hardware together in sets already to save time. So, yeah, we'll crack on with that. So the first one goes in this hole here. I've put it in, bend it up. Then I'm going to take it apart. So it goes bolt through the hole from the back to the inside of the chassis like that. Then you put the lug. That's your solder lug. Then the washer, the anti-vibration washer, I can't remember what you called it, and then your nut. So that's that one. Voila! And because there's only two of these, so I'll do them both, but I'm going to time lapse some bits in a minute. Same again. Bolt through. Lug on. Washer. Nut. Now obviously you're going to want to do these up tight, especially these bits, because this is the earth, the ground. This is the bit that stops you getting killed. So yeah, you do them up tight with a spanner. 7mm spanner. That's pretty there. So yeah, and a PZ2, I believe. PZ2 screwdriver, yeah. So screwdriver in the back. Short one would be nice, I'll have to get it in a minute. Then spanner on the front, just do that nice and tight. There we go. Next bit. So next is the turret board mountings, which are these things. And they go in these holes here. And it says, next add the hardware for the mounting of the two turret boards. There are 9 3mm holes altogether shown here. It does show on the diagram with red circles around them. Add the 6mm M3 screw from the outside, then the shake-proof washer on the inside, then one of the MF spacers to secure it in place. Well, this is the MF spacer. Now check that both the turret boards mount on these spacers. There's a little tolerance wiggle room built into the mounting dimensions. So if necessary you can loosen the MF spacers and adjust it slightly in its hole. At this point, do not fix the turret boards in the chassis, we'll get to that later. Okay, so we'll go for that. Yeah, well, I'll fit one in loosely and then I'll time lapse the rest. So here we go. Just poke the thing through. I just dropped the bolt. Hold on. Smells like one of my neighbours is having a barbecue. Lovely. Right. So yeah. Bolt, washer, MF spacer. Boom. Easy as that. Right then, let's have a crack at fitting the smaller turret board. And oh yeah, that goes on there quite easy, doesn't it? So we'll tighten. Oh, sorry about that. Adjust this camera a bit because it's not doing very well. There we go, that's better. I'll tighten up these posts where they are then. There we go, just make sure that fits on. Yep, lovely. Right then, let's try the next one. Okay. Look pretty oh, that's good, idiot proof. You can't get it wrong because that middle pin is in a specific place, so that's good. It's well thought out, this kit so far. You'd expect nothing less, would you? But I know sometimes you can't always guarantee it, so that is why I'm doing this video, because I just thought it'd be fun really, and people might like to see it. It's always good to test things as well. There we go, so that there. There's a little twig, doesn't it? Get that to go on. The middle one's going to need a bit of wiggle room as well. Over that way. So those two should line up pretty well now. Yeah, there we go. That one could do with a shift. Perfect. Right then, tighten them up and then move on to the next bit. Right, so here, the next step, it says here, other lightweight hardware. It says in general, it's a hell of a lot easier to handle the chassis assembly job if you keep it as light as possible for as long as possible. For this reason, add Add the other lightweight parts first and the heavy transformers later. Here's the simpler stuff in no particular order. V1 valve socket using M2.5 hardware. V2 valve socket and retaining clip using M2.5 hardware. And V3 valve socket and retaining clip using M3 hardware. A 6mm screw. Right, so we want a 6mm screw for this one. A 3-way tag strip using M4 hardware. That's that thing there. In each case, insert the screw from the outside and don't forget the shake-proof washers. Remember that amplifiers are subject to a lot of vibration. Make sure to choose the correct size washer for the screw. Don't use M3 washers with M2.5 hardware or you'll run out. I won't because I've got loads of them, but I will do it properly. When you need them. Okay, I should have finished the sentence before I said that. Then add a hole cover to the unused hole between valve 1 and valve 2 and insert the 5 rubber grommets. There are 2 sizes, but it's not possible to get them mixed up. Now attach the 4 M6 cage nuts to the outside top of the chassis flanges. Okay. Right, so let's go into time-lapse mode and then do that. See you in a minute. Right, so next we're on to the rear panel. It says rear panel components. So just 4 sockets and 4 sets of hardware to do here. But it's easier to add your country's main voltage and fuse information before you mount the rear panel. Use the permanent marker or marker pen to write... God, I wish I could read properly. Write in these 2 pieces of information in the box provided. At the right end of the panel, your mains voltage will be one of 100, 120, 220, 240 or 230, 240 volts. But this is the UK, so I'm going to be using 240 because ours is 240 60 Hertz, I believe. The fuse value will be T500MA. There's also a pre-printed box for you to personalize your amplifier build in the center of the panel. Write in your own details. Now add the rear panel and secure it in place with M4 hardware with the grounding lug at the far right end of the chassis. When viewed from the inside. Okay, right, okay. M4 hardware without a grounding lug at the far left. Then add the 3 speaker output sockets, orientating them so that the solder lugs are all facing out of the chassis for soldering later. Add the IEC main socket and secure it with M3 hardware using the countersunk screws. Okay, let's get on it. Time-lapse time! Right, so far got the tube sockets in, the turret posts, these things are here, the tag strip, all the little rubber grommets, earthing plugs, one here, one here, got the back panel, this, speaker outputs and whatnot. Then that's what it looks like from the outside. These bits for holding it onto the thing, your cabinet or whatever you make for it. So next is the front panel. Let's have a little read, shall we? Right. So front panel. The NX5's front panel is held in place by the main amplifier controls. 6 pots, 3 switches, 1 lamp and 1 socket. However, for now install only the 6 pots to allow easy access for the other parts later. Keep J1, S1, S2, S3 and L1 on one side. When installing the pots, there are a few things to bear in mind. 1. Trim the back black nylon shaft B so that it is about 8mm long. Use a junior hacksaw Dremel with a cutting wheel or similar. 2. Use both plain washers on the inside of the chassis to allow the small locking tab A to fit in the small holes. Okay. In the front of the chassis, bend it slightly if necessary. One minor thing to bear in mind, in the order of the pots along NX5 isn't sequential. The pots are numbered according to the schematic, as they should be. But it's obviously conventional to put the middle pot VR4 between treble pot VR2 and bass pot VR3 on the front panel. Tip: double check that you have the single 1 meg linear pot in the VR6 position for the power control for the VCB circuit, and 2 1 meg log pots are for bass VR3 and master VR5. Okay, well, I think I might have to look at the schematic because I don't really know. Yeah. Kind of makes sense. I think you have to do it to make it sense of it. That was a bit of a mouthful, that lot. Everything else has made perfect sense up until now, but I'm not sure what a lot of that is, so I'm going to have to go and look at the pictures. Alright, see you in a mo. Right, so we've got a list of components here, and we've got our picture. This isn't the schematic diagram, but it is a layout, so that I'm going to do it like this, because this is the instructions and not everyone can read a schematic diagram, so yeah, this will do it. So VR1 is a 470k logarithmic potentiometer, and that goes there. So that would be that one. A is logarithmic and B is linear. So that's that one. That goes in that hole there. And we're going to have to look how that is on the chassis, so that would be probably here. Anyway, that's beside the point. I'll put that on the time lapse. But that's how it works. So you've got your part numbers here, tells you in the instructions what you do with them, and it shows you on the picture where they go. Easy peasy. Okay, so the next job is to mount the transformers. I'm going to have to do a bit of jiggery pokery with the jig because the transformers won't fit on with this set this narrow, so I'll have to open that out a bit. I'll do that off camera though. So it says, add the output transformer T1, orientating it so that the speaker wires, orange, yellow, green and grey, from its secondary winding pass through the grommet closest to the back panel. Closest to the back panel. With the brown and red wires of the primary passing through the other grommet. Oh, I see. So this is the output transformer. I was thinking of the power transformer. So the output transformer is this one here. So the green, orange, yellow, green and grey, that's there. And then the secondary winding, brown and red, come through there, through the other one. Secure the transformer with M4 hardware. Now add the power transformer T2 on the outside of the chassis. Does that one go on the inside then? Anyway, on the outside of the chassis, start by removing the M6 nut to allow the M6 bolt to pass through the hole in the chassis. Then rotate the toroid so that the wires are in roughly the correct positions. Where am I? For the Annex 5 amplifier layout, the thicker green wires of the heater supply go through the rubber grommet that's closest to the centre of the chassis, with the brown, yellow, brown, yellow, brown wires of the high voltage supply going through the centre grommet, and the 6 wires of the main side primary going through the grommet closest to the edge of the chassis. This is a bit tricky and rather fiddly. Take your time and insert the wires first, then gently lower the toroid down onto the chassis. Make sure the second rubber pad sits properly between the bottom of the toroid and the chassis surface. The toroid is secured by adding M6 shockproof washer on the treble side, on the inside of the chassis, and then the M6 nut. Okay. Clear as mud. No, not really. That's fine. It will all become clear when we look at the actual components, I'm sure. I'm not sure that there's more than one washer. I don't know if we got all that, but I'll have a look at this stuff in a minute and see what we've actually got. I don't know if we've got a shockproof washer and M6 one either. I've got one, but I don't know if it came in the kit. Anyway, we'll have a look. Beautiful. See you in there. Right then, that's it. Section 1 is done, building the chassis. There's a few bits that aren't on there yet. We'll have to do those later on. They're later on in the build process. So I'll pull that down and just show you. Yeah, all in all, the instructions were fairly easy to follow. So, yeah, so far I'm happy with that. Good news. I'll see you in the next one. Have a lovely day. As always, any questions, let me know. Any work you need doing, get in touch. You know, advice is always free. And yeah, like and subscribe if you don't mind. That's always great, a big help. Just click the notification button and all that. And I'll see you in the next section, which is building the power supply. So yeah, have a lovely day. Goodbye.